Greetings, new friends. My name is Doug. This is Heidi.
Hi.
We are here to serve you. And what Heidi's going to share with you right now is the probably one of the most brilliant and simple ways one could describe addiction. And I believe that you're going to have an aha moment that's going to blow your mind.
Wow, that's a big claim.
That's right.
Okay.
So let's find out if you are smarter than a fifth grader.
Haha. Okay. Hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You know, there are a lot of myths about addiction and how and why people get addicted, and there's still some misinformation that's being carried around today, which is like you're an alcoholic because your daddy was an alcoholic or your grandpa was an alcoholic. It was in your blood. You were born that way. You had an addictive personality. You ate all the candy when you were 4. I actually heard that from somebody once. Or, you know, the trauma that happened, that's why you're an addict, or because of the divorce that happened when your parents were, when you were 4. 98% of the world trains themselves into addiction. Only 2% of the population is born that way. And unless you had to go through withdrawal as an infant, I'm pretty sure you trained yourself into it too. And every single human being on the planet has the addiction gene in them. Every single human being. Like Oprah, you get a car, you get a car. Okay, you have the addiction gene, you have the addiction gene. You know, every single human being has it. What turns it on? It's like flipping a switch. It's habit. How liberating is that? We trained ourselves into addiction, and we can train ourselves out. So let me explain on a 5th grade level. That's why my husband said he's smarter than a 5th grader, because I want to explain addiction at a 5th grade level. I like to keep things super, super simple. I believe if you can't keep them simple, you don't understand it. Okay? So let me go ahead and explain this. Here's your brain. This isn't a bad 80s commercial. This is your brain on drugs. This is just a really bad diagram. Okay, this is your brain. Up here is the thinking part of your brain, or the neocortex. Down here is the instinct, or the reptilian part of your brain. And in between is the limbic system, or the feeling part of your brain. So let's think for a minute about all the ways in life that a person can find joy and fulfillment and happiness. I'm just going to use broad areas of life. So one might be social, your social life. Maybe your mission, I've made this a little too big. Maybe your mission and your purpose. Why are you here on the planet? Not too heavy of a question. Maybe your friends is another area. Oh, I already put that social life. Maybe your physical health. Maybe your spirituality. Maybe your fun and play. Maybe your family. Right? Many ways in life that a person can find fulfillment or happiness. Many areas of happiness or dopamine to pull from. Research shows that people who are attracted to drugs and alcohol have very little areas for happiness in their life otherwise. But let's just say this is a normie person, and one day the instinct says, I need a little bit of happiness, or dopamine, sends a signal up to the thinking part of the brain, and it says, I know where you can get it, have a drink. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Person has the drink. It starts to run down through their body, and when the drink wears off, there's more pain exposed. Your body has more pain sensors. 10 to 1 is the pain to pleasure ratio in your body that you're hardwired for. So you have more pain sensors in your body. So when the drink wears off, more pain is exposed. Sends a little signal up, hey, we need a little more happiness. The brain says, hey, you know where to get it, have another drink. Is there anything wrong with that? No. So the person has a drink, that wears off. Now again, sends a signal, hey, we're out of dopamine. And now a normie, or a non-addicted person at this point, is going to say, nah, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to hang out with my buddies. I'm going to play my guitar. I'm going to work on that project at work. I'm going to meditate or pray. I'm going to call my mom. Because they have all these other ways in life to find fulfillment and happiness. Now we know that people who have addiction don't have as many areas of fulfillment. Their life is, in other words, out of balance, right? So this becomes a more attractive option. So they say, nope, I'm going to have a drink instead. They have a drink. Now, this person eventually, through habit, starts to train themselves that this is the source of dopamine or happiness in their life. So much so that they want to hang out with their friends, but they only do it over alcohol now. They want to play their guitar, but they only pick it up after they've had a couple beers. They want to connect with their lover, but they need to loosen up first. You know, now they start to notice the alcohol is incorporated in everything that they're doing in their lives. And now other areas of their life start to suffer. Maybe their work is suffering. Maybe their physical health starts to suffer. But eventually, because this person It's hardwiring themselves to rely on this. Now, by the way, the brain goes, hey, we're all stocked up on dopamine in here because you're increasing it by 300% with your alcohol consumption. Starts to not produce dopamine as much anymore because you're making it synthetically. And now you actually feel less happy. So the areas that used to produce happiness for you really aren't anymore because all your happiness is coming here. And though things are sacrificed in your life, you're still hardwiring, and then your brain breaks. And the part of the brain that breaks is called the nucleus accumbens, or the reward pathway, and it's the part that links up control and consequence, meaning I'll stop at one or that's a bad idea. And that part of the brain isn't functioning, and so now you're ripping your hair out going, why can't I just quit? Because now habitually you've created, so what turns on the addiction gene? Habit. 98% of the population, this is how we come to this. You didn't wake up addicted. There isn't a Miller Lite fairy or a pill fairy. You trained yourself into it, but that's really liberating good news. Once your brain's broken, once you've reached your addiction, there is no point of no return. That's why this is a disease. It's permanent, irreparable brain damage. There is no cure for that at this point. But the treatment, the revolutionary treatment, because why do you want to quit drugs or alcohol? So your life isn't about drugs and alcohol anymore, right? Traditional programming says make your lives about drugs and alcohol, so your life's not about drugs and alcohol. That's got to be a better way.
There must be. Is there? What do you think? Yes, of course. So what happens? So I'm sure you've said this before, or someone has said this to you rather. Why can't you just give up one thing so that you could have everything? And then in that moment, how do you respond? Because everything includes that one thing. So then when someone suggests taking that one thing off, what are you left with? You're left with this environment without drugs or alcohol. And the example would be, have you ever been on a boat for an extended period of time? And then what happens when you get off?
The equilibrium's off.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, what's going on? So all of a sudden, these are all a little out of balance.
Because what happens is we're delusional. We think drugs or alcohol are the problem, not the solution. We think we're the problem, so we take them away. But guess what? Your life's still a mess. Your life is still out of balance. It's still out of whack. So now you're just awake for it, and that sucks.
That becomes a whole new level of awareness.
Whole new level of not good.
So what we have found is that when we dedicate with discipline energies to these other areas of our life, things become extraordinary.
Well, we've been teaching this for a really long time. For about 20 years, independently, we've been success coaches, transformation coaches in the self-help kind of industry. Think Anthony Robbins kind of industry, think motivational speaking, that kind of environment where people are coming so that they can learn how to transform their lives and have ultimate happiness in all areas. People who want a well-rounded life, fulfilled life. Now, we got recruited to come teach some of these techniques at one of the world's leading drug and alcohol treatment centers. So we've started to put what we practice to the test. Hundreds of clients every single month come through this program where they learn how to create a life of balance with the exact same strategies that we're going to teach you. Sometimes the problem with traditional treatment is that, number one, not all of you can come to treatment, which we understand. Yeah. And number two, maybe traditional methods aren't for you. Maybe for you, you do subscribe to the notion that you can create your own destiny, that you can be empowered, that you can be confident, that you can overcome.
That you are captain of your soul.
That you believe in those things. And so maybe traditional methods really haven't been for you, but you know that you need to stop. You know that, hey, this is really impacting your life, this really isn't. So we were recruited to teach what we teach out there to people who are highly successful people who just wanted a well-balanced life here. And the results are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, hundreds of clients, thousands of lives transformed by applying the technology that we're teaching you, which is called BBRC. It's Balance Beyond Recovery Coaching, and it's a program designed to help you create a life so amazing that you don't want to screw it up, for lack of a better word. You know, you want to be sober for it.
Right. If you don't have a reason to stay sober, you're going to have a difficult time maintaining that. So we want to go beyond recovery. That's the goal. That's why it's called Bounce Beyond Recovery. Your life should not be exclusively about recovery. To stay sober. Yes.
Your life shouldn't be about staying sober. Your life should be why do I want to be sober?
Yeah. You get all the other stuff.
And then your life, then you'll be sober.
Of course.
Right.
Yes. So it's a little bit backwards in some sense, but it's counterintuitive, and you'll actually notice some of the exercises we do actually will take you to a place that is actually more freeing and more liberating, and at first seems really difficult, but once you get past the threshold, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And that's what the small percentage of successful people know. They know those small little things that make the hugest difference. And that's what we want to share with you, because we want you to be successful. Trust us. The more successful you are, the more successful the world is. True or true?
And the result is true. And the other piece of this is this. We want you to get well, but we also understand that 1 in 10 people, Americans that are addicted, not everybody is going to be for traditional method of getting better. If you are, that's wonderful. But there has to be more than one way, or all of the millions of people who don't line up with traditional methods are out of luck. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that. I'd rather believe that you are entitled to a way to recover that works for you, and that you are able to recover using maybe kind of revolutionary techniques. Do I understand we're bucking the system? Absolutely, I understand that we're bucking the system, and I'm okay with that. Because I know we are making true transformation.
What you want to do is find your tribe. Find the one that works for you.
People who believe the way that you do.
Yeah, we found extraordinarily successful people do extraordinary things, and we're here to support that for you. Now, it's simple. I mean, this seems simple. I mean, when you saw this, you're like, oh, duh.
But it doesn't look like that on the outsider looking in.
Right. It's simple but not easy, and that's what we're here to support you on.
My life would look from the outsider looking in absolutely perfect. 10 years ago, my life looked amazing. I was extremely wealthy, running companies successfully. I was a business consultant. I was, again, making tons of money, traveling all over the country. An outsider looking in would be like, wow, she really has the life. But I was extremely lonely, and I sacrificed my relationships, which was the area for me that wasn't working. My relationships were suffering, and I was very unfulfilled. And to fill that hole, I found myself binge drinking. And I was binge drinking, binging, drinking, and it was terrible. And I would go pretending I would go to work and be great, and then at night I would binge drink. It was just like this vicious cycle, and I wanted to stop. But because of my how I was wired, like I knew how to do success, I knew how to accomplish goals. The traditional method of like pretending that I had no value, or just not knowing what I was doing, just wasn't going to work for me. I needed a different way. And so I just decided, what if I applied the same techniques that I'm teaching, same techniques I'm using in these other areas, and just applied them to my own life? And I started with myself. And then once I got comfortable with that and said, yes, I'm truly transformed. I have a life that's so amazing today. I was able to do this. Let me see if we can teach this method to other people and they can be successful too. I'm not saying don't do the other things you want to do to be successful. Every method is valuable and every method is wonderful. But if I hadn't figured out a way, I don't know where I'd be today.
So if you're looking to take your life to the next level, and won't bore you with my story at this time, but we all have a similar story of overcoming.
We all have the same story.
Yeah.
And you don't need to hear my story to get better. In fact, that's not even part of how this works.
True.
Okay? So that's the last time you're going to hear anything about anybody's story unless we're rewriting it.
Indeed. So if you're ready to rewrite your story, start a revolution in your recovery and your life, find a new tribe, come join us. We're looking forward to supporting you.
We'd love to see you soon. Take great care. Bye-bye.